Sloth Uni, welcome back. We have an emergency video coming at you today. I know I usually don't even post on Thursdays. I'm usually Tuesdays and Fridays with it. But some major news dropped, so we had to talk about it, especially because it pertains to my team. An end of an era is here in Miami with Tua Tagovailoa getting benched, not even for the first time in his career, but getting benched after he got the mega deal from the Dolphins. After it's been 5 years, he has been benched, more than likely effectively ending his career as a Miami Dolphin. And honestly, I really don't know what to make of this in terms of where this leaves the Dolphins, because one of the biggest reasons of keeping Tua was there being no immediate backup plan. Because me personally, I'm not really a big fan of this incoming quarterback draft class. The year after should be solid, but this incoming draft class, I'm not too big of a fan of it, honestly. And the Dolphins aren't even going to be in range to really select a top tier quarterback of this draft class in general. So if they do take a quarterback, it'll probably be in the second round, third round, maybe develop that guy, have him battle it out with Quinn Ewers. But they're gonna go with Quinn Ewers for at least they're gonna take it game by game, see how Quinn Ewers does against the Bengals, and then they're gonna move on to see if he does poorly, then they're gonna pivot to Zach Wilson. But they're gonna take it week to week. Personally, I don't have the highest hopes. I mean, we've seen I don't dislike Quinn Ewers, but one, he's not in a position to succeed, which I hate to see for young quarterbacks, because that's one of my biggest gripes with teams in this generation or just teams in general of all generations, not putting their young quarterbacks in positions to succeed. And you see situations like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, and this is where we get reclamation projects. Not saying Quinn Ewers is going to be one of those, but these situations like these where you put young quarterbacks in very, very difficult positions to succeed is what puts them on that type of career trajectory, or even worse, being out of the league in a few years. But we've seen Quinn Ewers in this offense. First and foremost, it didn't look too good, but it was his first start, and it was like 2 drives at the end of the game. But we've also seen multiple quarterbacks operate Mike McDaniel's offense, and it has not looked good at all. I know I don't know who Mike McDaniel has in the media in his pocket, but he has 100%. He has people in the media, because the amount of people that are rallying for Mike McDaniel in the media and it's just like throwing Tua under the bus is why, because it's literally everybody. Like there are some people here and there who are they kind of see the full picture, and this is not to absolve Tua of anything. Don't get me wrong. First and foremost, Tua, his play this year was 100% subpar. I mean, he's admitted it himself. Like he has not been playing up to not only his standards, but the standards of a NFL quarterback. Because to even be a starter in this league, you have to play or reach a certain threshold of skill level on the field, and Tua this year has not hit that threshold many times. I mean, he's hit it. You've seen flashes here and there, especially towards the end of the Steelers game. You saw him turn it on. But consistently this year, you haven't seen enough of good quarterback play to warrant him being the starter. And there's going to be a lot of people there are a lot of people who will say that he's been horrible his whole career, which is very untrue. While he hasn't been top 5 elite his entire career, he has been a very good quarterback for the majority of his career. And while he wasn't putting up numbers even before Mike McDaniel, he still was an efficient and solid quarterback before Mike McDaniel even came into the Dolphins. So I don't think the market for Tua will be too big because people know that the Dolphins are more than likely going to move off of Tua. And whenever you're actively trying to sell somebody who teams know that you're trying to get rid of, they're gonna lowball you. And I think that his relations in the league, after how he's treated speaking to the media about his team, about his coaches, and being very open and vocal about things in a locker room, especially earlier this year, that whole debacle, I think that's kind of soiled how a few teams view him. So it's very curious to see what the Dolphins, because they're not going to cut him. If they go the cut route, then I think they just keep him for another year and then cut him because of his dead cap. After his dead cap next season is $100 million, but the season after that is only 30. It's like 32 or 35 million, something along the lines of that. And I think the Dolphins really, I think their plan was, if Tua really didn't pan out, they were gonna keep him for this upcoming season and then cut him if he didn't pan out. But things kind of just spiraled out of control this season, so now they really have to do the break glass in case of emergency and end up trading him for a lot less than what they really wanted to. And I think that's only because they're not going to cut him. I highly doubt that they are going to eat $100 million in dead cap. I know the Denver Broncos did something very similar to that, but it really set them back a lot. And I know they've kind of bounced back since then, but they also have a Hall of Fame head coach, and that helps. And they had that Hall of Fame head coach who was really good at building schemes around his quarterback, handpick his quarterback in a draft. The Dolphins do not have a Hall of Fame head coach, and if Mike McDaniel doesn't pan out, which he very well may get fired after this year, they will have no head coach and no quarterback. So there isn't really a Hall of Fame head coach. Don't say Bill Belichick. But there really isn't a Hall of Fame head coach out there, or a top tier head coach out there that's just ripe for the picking, because great head coaches don't really come around often. So this really puts Miami in a pickle. And Mike McDaniel really just used his last lifeline, because he's been coaching for his job. This entire second half run of the season, he's been coaching for his job. And he saw it fit that Tua wasn't the best option for the team to win football games. Even though I highly disagree with that, because I feel like we've seen other quarterbacks in this offense, and I don't know what it is, but other quarterbacks literally just can't get it. And even though Tua this year hasn't looked the best in it, I'm very curious to see what Quinn Ewers looks like in this offense, because I did like Quinn Ewers coming out of college. I didn't love him, but I saw enough there to warrant a draft pick. I didn't think he would go in the 7th round, maybe 5th round. But again, I think that there is talent there, so it's very curious what could happen. I'm interested in what could happen. But this is literally, in my opinion, this is the end of Tua Tagovailoa with the Dolphins, and I think it will. A lot of people are assuming that Mike McDaniel is just gonna stay with the Dolphins. I think they kind of forget that he's part of the reason that they started off so poorly, and I'm not sure if they will win enough games to warrant him being able to get another season with the team. So, I mean, I think both of them are out, honestly. As the Chris Greer getting fired was the first of the line of this failed rebuild, and Tua surprisingly was the next head to roll, and Mike McDaniel will probably be the last head to roll. So I think the Dolphins are they cleared out a lot of long-term front office, college scout, free agent scouting people. So I think they're really just going to try to really do a full rebuild. And that doesn't mean a full roster rebuild. I think they're going to try to more of a culture shift in the way that they do everything, it'll be very interesting to see who they bring in at GM. And I'm not a big fan of forcing head coaches onto GMs. And I don't think the Miami Dolphins are either. So I feel like if Mike McDaniel can go 9-8, he might save his job. But I genuinely don't see how they do it, because this is going to lead us into our next kind of set of talk points. But they play the Bengals, who is not a gimme, but I think they can beat the Bengals. But with Quinn Ewers, I'm not sure. That kind of gets sticky. The Buccaneers, there's almost no chance they beat the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers are literally they must win almost every single game in order to fend off the Panthers. And then you have the Patriots, who have now the Bills breathing down their neck, and the Bills are one game behind the Patriots to win the division. So the Patriots quite literally need to win out as well. So you have two teams who are leagues ahead of where Miami is currently, and they both need these wins. And I just don't see how the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel can go positive or over 500, which would keep Mike McDaniel his job. But yeah, I truly wonder where they're gonna go with this, because I don't think that they're gonna get a lot of value from trading Tua, and I'm not sure if they're gonna go the Kyler Murray route and get people sloppy seconds. But I'm also not sure if the owner is really willing to sit and watch a young Quinn Ewers or whoever they draft more than likely struggle next year and on a really down year. I'm not sure if he wants to do the full tanking again. So this is for the first time in a long time I have zero clue where this team is going. Genuinely, if I had to throw out a name or two names that I think could actually be drafted by the Miami Dolphins and maybe do something, off the top of my head, it would probably be either Drew Allar and Garrett Nussmeier. I know the second option, people may not like him as a quarterback, but from what I've seen, I think I see enough there to spend at least like a 7th round pick on him. I mean, I don't think that he's too high of I don't think that people in the league really like him too much. Drew Allar might go in the 3rd, 4th, maybe even 5th. If he didn't get hurt, he would probably be a 1st or 2nd rounder. But with those two guys, I don't love them, but again, like Quinn Ewers, I think there's enough talent there that you could really draft one of those guys, maybe develop them. Who knows? Maybe they'll turn into a Tyler Show. But I think that's personally, from my best guess of this situation, I think that's the route that the Dolphins take. I think they draft another young quarterback and kind of have them battle out against Quinn Ewers. And then if they suck, then they'll probably just be in position to draft a quarterback the next year. But I don't think they're going to completely tank roster, because they do have a solid young nucleus that they can build around. And they do have a few veteran pieces who can kind of lead the young guys in the right direction. So it's not all doom and despair for the Dolphins. I mean, as Dolphins fans, genuinely, this is not the worst thing to happen to us. Honestly, we're used to this. We're used to this. But speaking about the Bills being up the Patriots' butt, pause. But this is, I talked about it a little bit in last video, but I really wanted to expand on that topic, because not only is Josh Allen and the Bills primed to go on a playoff run and possibly a Super Bowl run, Josh Allen is possibly going to make a run for another MVP back-to-back. And I know a lot of. Listen, I was one of the captains of the Matthew Stafford MVP ships. I was the original captain. Everybody was over here saying Drake May this. Who else was it? Patrick Mahomes. That I did like Patrick Mahomes as an MVP candidate, but there were so many people. Jonathan Taylor. This, don't get me wrong, Jonathan Taylor. I was part of the Jonathan Taylor hype train, but realistically, he's a running back, and I saw very early on Matthew Stafford was doing things that literally no other quarterback in this league was doing. Even Drake May knew it. Like they talked to Drake May and they were like, "Hey, you're leading in like almost every single quarterback stat." He was like, "Yeah, it's probably because I haven't had a bye week yet." And he wasn't leading in touchdowns yet, or he wasn't leading in touchdowns at the time. I said yet like he ever was, but he wasn't leading in touchdowns. And Matthew Stafford was. And I was like, Matthew Stafford is literally like right there with him in almost every single stat. And he has less interceptions and more touchdowns. And he's already had his bye week. I was like, this guy is more than likely going to win MVP. But with the injury to Davante Adams, I think that the Rams are probably going to take a small step back. Don't get me wrong. I still think their playoff run is probably untouchable. At least in the NFC, I don't really see any team in the NFC contesting them as long as they have a healthy Davante Adams. And if they don't win their division, and the Bills do win their division, I think that could be enough of a catalyst for Josh Allen to take that leap over Drake May and Matthew Stafford to win the MVP. And I think he's capable of it. And the Bills are only one game behind the Patriots. All they need is the Patriots to slip up against one of these teams that they play. Whether it be the Dolphins, highly unlikely, or the Ravens this week. If they lose to the Ravens, I think that the Bills will handle business and finish out top of division or tied. But the Bills and the Rams currently are tied for record. So they honestly, even if the Patriots do win out, all it takes is for the Rams to lose against the Seahawks this week, which is very possible. That's the more plausible situation out of all of this. All it takes is for the Rams to lose to the Seahawks, and Matthew Stafford's MVP race, it's not shot, but it does take a huge hit. And if Josh Allen continues the statistical slaughter that he's been on, because he's on pace to, pretty sure he's on pace to have his most rushing touchdowns in his career, unless he had like I think he had one crazy season where he had like 17 rushing touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Could be tripping. Okay, no, he had his highest is 15. He's currently at 12. So he might not have the highest of his career, but he could match it if he does get a rushing touchdown in the rest of the games. But touchdown for touchdown, he's right there with Matthew Stafford. And total yards, I believe he has him beat. He does have more interceptions than Matthew Stafford, but I think that if the stats are close enough, they might just give it to Josh Allen if he has a better team record than Matthew Stafford. So it'll be, I think it'll be closer than what a lot of people think, and he's definitely building a case to it. But the biggest thing is just that, for me, apart from the MVP race, is how wide open it is for the Bills to actually get a Super Bowl. Because I was talking about in the last video, Mahomes is not in the playoffs right now. That's been the biggest thing to stop the Bills, other than I believe it was one year Joe Burrow beat them, but Joe Burrow's not in the playoffs. Patrick Mahomes is not in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson might not make the playoffs. So you think about quarterbacks who can go blow for blow with Josh Allen in a shootout, or just in terms of winning football games. And there really isn't any of them in the playoffs. You can say Drake May or Bo Nix, but they really haven't done it in a playoff scenario. And playoffs is very different from regular season, and none of them really have playoff experience. So I said it once and I'll say it again. I'm gonna keep saying it. I truly believe. Don't get me wrong. I still have the Broncos-Rams Super Bowl, but I truly believe that the Bills are going to make a heavy push to make it to the Super Bowl. I think the AFC Championship game is going to be Broncos-Bills, and when it gets to teams like this, I genuinely have no clue who would win this game, because my mind just like, there's so many possibilities because both these teams are so good. And what it would take for me to make a guess like that, personally, I would need to know each team's game plan. And I'm like, okay, I see what you're doing and I see what you're doing, and yeah, this ain't gonna work. I'm taking you. this ain't gonna work, Chief. So, because if you think about teams like the Broncos and the Bills, say the Broncos and the Bills played each other in the AFC Championship game. The Broncos defense on paper and on film and on the field is capable of slowing down and stopping this Josh Allen-led team. But we've seen countless times from Josh Allen that just doesn't matter, and that he gets it done. And he becomes Superman and makes those plays and wins football games. But you think about what the Broncos have done all season, and they've just won close games and found a way to grit it out and win and find a way to make plays at the right times. And it's what the Bills have done for years. So you get two teams who kind of play a similar way. And even though the Bills are the worst team, especially, the biggest thing that scares me is their run defense, because they can't defend the run. And that in my opinion, if they lose in the playoffs, that'll be the reason why they lose. It's because of their run defense. But it's going to be interesting to see. I just wanted to say, do not count out Josh Allen in the MVP race or the Super Bowl, because they are coming. And they smell blood in the water. And they might even win their division. Because if they win their division, if the Bills win a division, I think Josh Allen wins the MVP. Because I don't remember who I had with the Seahawks and the Rams in my weekly picks. But with the injury to Davante Adams, I'm not gonna lie, I want to take the Rams. But with how close that first game was, and I'm thinking it's going to be a very, very, very defensive game this second time around, because it was close the first time around. And the Seahawks had, I don't remember how many turnovers they had, but I remember Sam Darnold had 4 picks. And they might have had more turnovers. They could have had like 6 turnovers. And they kept it within a 21-19. That's well within a 1-score game. That's less than a 3-score game. So without all the turnovers, I think that and without Davante Adams, I think the Seahawks will be able to beat the Rams. Will they do it? They have to prove that. Because I haven't been the biggest fan of the Seahawks, mainly because Sam Darnold, and whenever he needs to show up in big moments, he's kind of just like faltered. But I think this Rams team right now is weak enough to overcome that, especially with Puka Nacua. He'll probably play, but he is hurt right now, and Davante Adams is dealing with the injury. So that's 2 of their top 3 weapons, including Matthew Stafford, or I should say top 4 weapons, 5 really, including Blake Corum, Kyren Williams. But that's 2 of their best weapons, honestly, either hurt or out. And the Seahawks can take advantage of that, especially because it's a divisional game. So listen, I think that Matthew Stafford and the Seahawks won't win their division, and that Matthew Stafford will fumble away his MVP And Drake May won't be the one to win it. It will be Josh Allen. And if Josh Allen, don't get me wrong, listen, I think Matthew Stafford is going to come away with the Super Bowl. Because no matter who they play in the Super Bowl, whether it be the Bills or the Broncos, I think the Rams are going to win. If they're healthy. If they can stay healthy and get Devontae Adams back and keep Puka Nacua healthy, I don't see any team in the league really contesting them for a Super Bowl. I was saying it before it was popular that the NFC was going to win the Super Bowl this year, and that the NFC was a lot stronger than the AFC. Nobody was listening. Hope you listening now. But I truly listen. Josh Allen is going to make a run for MVP. You heard it here. I mean, I was gonna say you heard it here first, but I've been seeing it pick up a lot of steam, and I'm hopping on the train and I'm running with it. But I will also add in that the Super Bowl is coming soon. But that's all we really had to cover today. I just wanted to address the elephant in the room with the Tua Tagovailoa situation and add in that people need to pump the brakes on the Mike McDaniel saving the season, because I don't know what kind of help this guy has in the media, but it's crazy. It's crazy because they're acting like he's probably not gonna get fired too. But enough about that. It's 2:40 a.m. I'm tired, but I'm like I really wanna start getting back into the college football grind of watching film. So I'm about to go watch out some college football grind, start my off season, because I started a little bit earlier. I got an early jump start on it the second I saw Tua start looking bad this year, and I was like, yeah, I might need to start shopping for a new quarterback. Let me see what this crop is looking like. And that's when I saw what this crop was really pushing, and I was like, yeah, just give me Tua for another year. But it's looking like we're not gonna have Tua for another year. But hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you guys keep returning for the videos and if you enjoy this type of content. But hope you all enjoyed. Class dismissed.